people do not realize how many gifts they have that can actually be used in the marketplace to give them more freedom, more economic freedom. When they focus on cash so much as a means of making their way through life.
But isn't that the way one needs to function in our world?
No. Cash is great if you have urgency needs all the time and specificity, like I want a Kit Kat bar now. But the truth is that if you don't require urgency, and you don't require specificity, there are 9 or 10 other things that you can use as currency that are not issued by the government and are not cash. Time, space, information, influence, sweat equity, dependability, emotional balance, psychological clarity, other people's barterable goods and services. All of these things have market value, that you can control their market value.
There are established exchanges, though, for currency. How do you exchange those commodities that you just described?
Well, what's really great about it is with exchanges that use cash, you can't control the market value of the thing that you're using, which is cash. But I could hire a press agent, for example, and tell everybody that the color blue causes terrible diseases. And then everyone will dump the color blue. I'm being metaphorical, of course. They'll all dump the color blue. And I can buy all the color blue and then hire another press release to say that it causes God realization. And then everyone will want all the color blue they can find, but I own all of it. And I'm not in violations of security exchange laws. I control the market of it. I can store the stuff somewhere else. I never even have to move it. I can ask the person that has the color blue, they can't get rid of it, to please store it in their basement, and I will pay them to just store it until I can get the value back up again. So non-cash currencies are really a way of having love, freedom, power, influence in ways that cash never can.
For people listening to this for the first time, are there other people who subscribe to this theory?
Yes, it's a $30 billion industry in the United States. It's so large an industry that the IRS makes you report to them how much of it you do.
And so people refer to you as the barter king.
Yes, they do. Or Tony Soprano with a full-time ethicist.
So you're an ethical Tony Soprano.
Well, yeah, because there's something I was talking earlier with some of our friends, and one of the things I was saying to them is that everybody can be influenced in some way. So what we don't think about is that influence is an actual commodity. You can buy how to use it. You can be trained on how to use it. You can hire someone to tell you how a particular person can be influenced. That's information. You can hire someone else to influence them. That's sweat equity. And then you influence them. And you get them to give you what you want on your terms. And the only problem with that is that it's unethical unless you make them happy. So if you're really, really smart and skilled at this, you find out the least expensive way to make them happy, and you get the thing that they have that they value the least, but which everybody else values the most, and you buy it from them, but not for cash. You give them whatever will make them happy, and they give you this thing that they have, whatever it is, and then you just sell it to the world at peak market price, but not for cash.
People listening to you would probably say, this is interesting, and there's a lot of complexity in here, and they probably would be more curious as to why you are so happy in your life.
Well, because when they're wondering where the cash is that they need, I just go get the thing that they wanted to buy. There's a thing called a zero-sum game. There's a slice of pie, 14 people want that slice of pie. And so they're all bidding money for this slice of pie. But I know that the chef really likes this French knife that nobody really can get, and it's this wonderful handmade knife. And I know that that guy who makes that knife really wanted to go to the church in Florence by himself to look at all the Da Vinci's. So I called my friend up, who's the gatekeeper at the church in Florence, and I got a free tour for the guy that makes the knives, and he gave me the knife. And while everybody's bidding on that slice of pie, I say to the guy who's the chef that made the pie, I have this knife, and suddenly I get the slice of pie, and all the guys are wondering how come they couldn't outbid me. So what I'm looking for in my life, someone may think it's complex. What's complex is working at a job that you don't like, with people that you don't like, being ordered on by a boss that you don't like, and not having time to do things with the people you love. That sounds complex to me. I have freedom. I can choose to be with people that I love, doing things on my own terms. And the only thing I really give up is urgency. I don't have to worry about getting it now.
And this all fits within the larger purpose in your life, which is human potential.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Well, there are 5 key things that I have an interest in tied to human potential. And that is that, and the ultimate return on investment, to use the business term, you want to get the greatest return on your human potential at the lowest possible cost. So the more I can utilize time and space and information and influence and all these other things I mentioned at their most effective level, the less labor I have to do, the less I have to do what I don't want to do, the more I can do what I wish to do. I have freedom that most people never even dream about ever having.
Most people would say to you, but Louis, don't you have to work hard to get ahead?
Yeah, that's an RTP. An RTP is a term I made up called a Regenerative Thought Program. And you got that from your grandmother when she came off the boat or a slave ship or a plane or wherever she came from. We get taught by the best and the brightest. Our ancestors are usually the ones who escaped from a very bad situation in another country. And so they have a template called struggle is struggle. But I like the birds that fly over the Palisades. They catch the wind and they just sort of go like that. And so my question isn't how do you get successful? My question is, once you are successful, how much wing flapping do you do to stay up that high? I'm interested in catching the thermals, catching the heat coming off of the ground and just riding on that.
So what are the pitfalls of your idea?
They're wrong unless you forget that urgency is not a key to the factor. If you get involved in urgency and you got to have it now, right now, whenever you need to have something, immediately you become greedy and arrogant, and then you make foolish mistakes. So you can't be arrogant and you can't be greedy. One of my rules is to say yes to everything unless the cost is too high. That's one of my rules. I have about 80 rules. Another one is the truth you ignore is the one that will come back to bite you on the butt.
Now, you have had a huge following. You continue to have a huge following. You have a school of natural healing. You have an institute. You've taught lots of people how to be self-sustaining. How have you managed to function in all of these different areas?
Delegate. And there's an old story about, it's a terrible story by the way, but I love it. It's about a guy that has a date farm in the desert, and he makes himself very vulnerable so the worst bandit comes, and then he kills all the guy's camels, and gives the guy enough dates and water to get to the next town. So when everybody finds out that this baddest, nastiest guy in the whole world got sort of outwitted and lost all his camels to this date dealer, and now the date dealer just puts a cup out and all the outlaws come and get your dates and water, but they just put their money in the basket and they leave, and they rob somebody else because they don't want to deal with, bad Leroy Brown, so to speak, the baddest guy in the desert. So for me, I just seek out people who are really looking to play at a very large level, are very substantial, not always so honest as they may need to be. And I create enough value for them so that if they're going to do something bad, it's just not done to me. And maybe they can learn some ethics while they're hanging out with me while they're doing it.
Yeah, you have some pretty honorable people in your corner. Jack Canfield
Yep.
raves about you.
Yeah.
When you go on the internet and search you, he says he's learning from you.
Well, I've been very blessed to meet a lot of people who are very substantial and make a difference in the world.